Hey, welcome to Gamer Guide channel. My IGN is Wraulin in Robocraft and many other games, but I do have some alts here in Robocraft. But let's talk about this episode. This should be kind of a lengthy episode as I'm going to be talking about a couple different things. In Robocraft, we had the Epic Loot patch, and I want to talk a little bit about my feedback on it. I also want to show off 3 new robots you can get on the CRF, one on a alt account, and 2 of them on the Wraulin account. And I want to talk a little bit about new weapon mechanics, too, in this new Epic Loot patch. So first, let's go ahead and talk about this robot you're seeing now. This is the Golem Sentinel 7. As you guys who've been following my channel for a while know, this is the robots I leveled up to P5 on both of my accounts with, and I've put out a new version updating its weapons to kind of go along nicely with the new patch. There's been a lot of changes since the rebalancing, and a little preview. One of the things I recommend later here is to go with only 1 Mega Plasma and diversify your weapons a little bit more. So anyway, you can enjoy that while we talk a little bit more about some of the changes, but let's go ahead and start with the patch notes. Now, there's good and bad in this new patch, and I would take a little time before doing another video on the patch to kind of take everything in and really make sure that I'm being fair about my feedback. And so, as one of my professors once said, you know, always start with positive information when you're giving constructive feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the good things I liked about the new Epic Loot patch, and then we'll work into the things that I think need improvement or I'm kind of indifferent about. So first of all, I like the new CRF. I like that people are able to share the robots without having to spend any money with their friends and stuff like that, and that there's an option now where people can use their existing parts in these robots. So essentially, if you want to delete all your robots and you had a bunch of spare parts, you could kind of build any robot in the shop as long as you had the right amount of parts. So that's kind of a neat thing, I think. And they did increase the money we get off the sales of the robots by 25%, so a good 15% increase. The downside is that if it doesn't cost anybody anything to build one of your robots, you're not going to make any money. So that's kind of the unseen downside of the new way to craft your own robots by using your existing parts, is that artist doesn't get any credit for their work. So kind of a detraction there on that part, but I do like it as a whole, so I'm putting that in my pile of good things. The other thing I really liked about this patch is the block buff on most everything except for some of the higher end parts. So I think it's good because the time to kill does seem like it takes a little longer. At least it takes a couple shots now with the Ion Disruptor instead of just one killing everything instantly. Like here you can see it takes a couple shots now to knock that thing out. So I like that. I think that is a plus, as I like games to be a little more exciting, and when it's just instantly getting creeped up on by a robot with 2 ion distorters and then getting destroyed, it gets a little frustrating sometimes. And I like to see builds matter more in Robocraft instead of less, as certainly there has been an emphasis on taking away some of the importance of good builds, which I'm not really a big fan of. But all in all, the block buff I think was a good thing, and I was glad to see that put into the game. And then I did talk a little bit about time to kill, but I did like the increase in time to kill too. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the indifferent stuff. I didn't really care for everything in the weapon rebalancing. Mega Plasmas I actually liked a little bit more before this patch, but the other weapons, the lower end plasma, like the beginning tier of plasma and mid levels of plasma, I like a lot more. So I'm kind of indifferent, as some weapons I feel like got better. Certainly Mega SMGs are more useful now, and some weapons like Mega Plasmas I don't like quite as much anymore. So but all in all, I have been having fun finding new weapon combinations, and I think it does kind of work. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a great thing either. I'm just not quite used to it yet, so that's kind of indifferent. And then finally, as I did kind of allude to earlier, there is some criticism I have of the patch, and many people, of course, have had similar criticism about the economy. I don't like the fact that we're kind of put into this gambling system now for the only way of making money. You know, if you end up getting a nice part in one of these crates, you can sell it, and then that will buy you lots of blocks and some mid-level stuff, but it could take a potentially really long time for new players to get good gear, and you don't necessarily need to have a high-level robot anymore in this game to have fun and play competitively. You can play a low-level robot for a really long time, and you'll still get the same reward with the you know, Protonium crates as long as you're first place. And there is not really, you know, any reason to get a high level besides just having that as a gloating or point of pride for yourself. So in some ways, I guess that kind of makes the game different, as there's really not a huge incentive to level up unless it's just something you want to do. But I do think there should be Robobits, or they should bring back RP, and that should be given every time that you finish a match and you do well. You get more or less. I definitely preferred the economy and the old Robocraft versus the new. And I think maybe with some adjustments and fine tweaking, maybe including some Robobits or Robits, along with some kind of bonus items every once in a while, that's fine. And I have nothing against opening crates. I think opening crates is fun, you know, and if you want to buy crates, more power to you. It's not something I'm going to choose to partake in, most likely, because I'm not really into gambling, and I'd rather just buy the part I want off the shop with Robits. So I probably will be avoiding that. And if there's a way that they could make it where you could trade your crates in and just get Robits, I'd probably do that most of the time, unless I really didn't need parts on the account, or I didn't need Robobits on the account, rather, and I just wanted to take my chance and have some fun and see if there's anything in the chest. And then I might do it. Like on the Wraulin account and the GamerGuide account, I don't really need very many parts anymore. I have lots of robots. Over 25 on both accounts. In fact, Wraulin account that this Golem Sentinel 7 is on has almost 50 robots. So, you know, I definitely don't need parts. I can just recycle one of the robots I don't really use anymore or don't play that much, and that usually gives me enough extra parts along with what I have in stock to build pretty much anything I want. So anyway, until I see a couple things flushed off with the economy, I'm probably not going to be buying any crates and stuff. Besides, 25 bucks and stuff will buy another game, and so I'm less incentivized to do that until there's some fixes. Now, if they have some of the promotions again through MadOrc or through Humble Bundle or something, I'll probably end up getting those, as I think those are usually a good deal with premium. So hopefully they don't give up on that and they continue that in the future. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about some of the weapons rebalancing and what I've kind of found in my testing. I've played some of my veteran accounts, and then for interest's sake, I also played my newbie account, which is Cyborbot, as some of you guys might remember from my channel. I have kind of this alter ego that comes out sometimes, but just I'm going to be breaking character here, and we'll be playing Cyborbot without the robot voice or Cyborbot itself. So sorry about that if you're into that little thing, but it didn't seem like too many people were really getting that I was supposed to be playing a character. They just thought I was being shy and I didn't want to use my real voice. Not the case. Anyway, I figured I'd jump on the Cyborbot account because it was like, what, 11 or 12 or something until I got the Alienware robot, and then it got boosted up to level 88. So it's kind of an artificially high-leveled account, but it has just a couple extra parts because I used some of the advantages of some of the bundle deals and that Alienware to get some free robots. So I went ahead and I disassembled most of those robots and created some robots just out of the limited materials I have. I wanted to see if I could actually build some viable robots with just some basic resources. Basically the Alienware bot, that little missile robot, and the Rhino. Those are all kind of the parts I had to collect from. And then whatever I was given at the beginning too and was able to acquire from the other version of Robocraft. So I was able to make some things. And I found some interesting stuff out about the new weapon types too. First of all, I tried a weapon that didn't really turn out as well as I anticipated. I was really excited about the new no-power nanos, but found out very quickly that those nanos are non-combat only. So if somebody's getting shot, you are definitely going to lose that person while trying to heal them. Even if you use 10 of the free nanos, basically, it doesn't seem to really hold up, and they don't shoot really fast enough to really keep people alive. So that was my first find out. My favorite nano out of all of them is the Mender, which is kind of the middle powered nano. These are powerful enough to do some good in combat, and they don't use all your power up real quickly. So definitely recommend trying out the mid-leveled nano. And then the high-end nano, if you're really a dedicated healer, is nice too, but I'd recommend maybe getting the power module if you're going to go that direction. So anyway, the next creation I made after that one was the Protonium Harvester, which is using the level 1 plasmas, and I wanted to see if they were actually worthwhile getting. So the maximum number threshold is 14 on that before it becomes repetitious, and there's no more advantage for getting any of these mini plasma guns. So I went ahead and I put 14 on just to see what it would do, and found out that even though it was a little bit underpowered as far as the damage output, it was absolutely fantastic at taking down the Protonium towers. So if you have some extra CPU and you wanted to figure out something to do and you want to take Protonium really quick, definitely the lowest level plasma was the quickest I was able to do it with putting enough of them on the robot. So you'd probably want to put like 5 or more on if you're interested in doing that with the plasma and taking towers down quickly. So, and some of the mid-range plasma is actually my favorite plasma now, and I'll put them on some of my different bots. But it was kind of interesting trying out some of the low-level weapons. I found that the lowest level laser weapon too was pretty decent, not too bad. I do prefer the Laser Wasp or the Laser Blaster a little bit more. And in fact, on my newest Golem Sentinel 7, I'm using the Laser Blasters. 5 of them, and it seems to give me the right amount of damage and the right amount of accuracy, and that's kind of right in the middle grade. The other thing too is having the right number of redundancy too is important, as your cycle time and stuff like that and rate of fire can kind of help suppress enemies. So there's a little bit more too than just damage per second, I found. And so that's why I kind of like the mid-range plasmas, as it does have a tendency to kind of carve out the enemy quickly, even at the lower DPS. The rate of fire is very important on a plasma-style weapon, and also on the lasers too. And I find that especially the mega lasers are a little bit too slow for my liking, and that the mega plasmas use way too much power for my liking too. But they can be okay if you're just trying to do like a jump bombardment. And that's why I went ahead and kept them on the Golem Sentinel 7 here at least. But I did find some more stuff out on the Protonium Harvester, and it was more than just the lowest level plasma being able to take down crystals super fast. It also kind of made me think more about the ELO system in this game, and how much I don't think it really makes sense for a game like Robocraft. And I've had this thought before, but it just kind of cemented it and made me want to talk about it a little bit more. But in a game where you're coming up with different creations and playing different roles, it doesn't really make sense to rank players based on their performance, because your performance changes with the robot that you play. For instance, I don't play nearly as aggressively, and I have a totally different tactic and ability set when I'm playing something as simple as the Protonium Harvester versus my Bounty Enforcer, which I'll show you a little later, which is more of a combat, quick action vehicle using plasma more dedicated to taking out enemies, and then filler SMGs to kind of finish them off. You know, people play different roles in this, and I don't think it's really makes any sense for ELO to be a thing in this game. But yet it is, you know, and I think what can happen is people can abuse it and play a really bad robot for a couple of times, and then play a really great robot and suddenly get put on a team that's far too easy for their skill set. You know, and then you just stomp everybody. So there needs to be some fine-tuning in that. You know, if ELO also scaled with what you got in your chest, at least then it would make some sense and maybe be advantageous for people to use it. You know, because then you're getting better chests. If you have a high ELO, you get, you know, more legendary stuff and more epic stuff. Then there'd be, you know, maybe an excuse to try to artificially keep your ELO high, but you know, it kind of ruins the game for experienced veteran players, I think, like myself. If, you know, most of the time I'm at P5 and performing well and winning my matches, it just makes, you know, the matches super hard no matter what I play. If I want to play something that's a support vehicle, I'm just going to get, my team's going to get stomped because I'm not taking towers and I'm not killing enemies, and so we have this huge skill gap where I can't play a supporting role. I have to kind of play frontline, you know, leads all the time on robots. Otherwise, we're probably going to lose the game. So, and that's not me being gloating. I'm not the best player in the world. I just feel like we kind of get forced into a role with the ELO system, and it doesn't make a lot of sense in this game like it does In other games like Wizard Wars, you know, you're always playing a wizard, you have the same skill set as everybody else, and so the ELO system makes more sense. And also in chess, you know, you're going to play to win, and you have the same pieces as your opponent. That ELO system makes more sense in the game of chess. It doesn't make a lot of sense in a creative block building game like Robocraft. So I think they need to rethink that, personally. I like things being based off CPU, and yes, that means that there is going to be some trolling and stuff, and there's different ways you can eliminate that from happening. But I also I don't get it. The ELO doesn't really work for me. Alright, so let's look at another robot I put together with the Epic Loot patch in mind. This is the Orc Striker. It's a more ground combat focused mech, and something I wanted to use that cool mech cosmetic with as the cockpit. It's a great way to cover up the radar, I thought. I did try out some of the Mega SMGs, and they are, I think, a little bit more viable than before. You can theoretically use them against air units too, as they're pretty accurate, but they just shoot so slow. You have to really be good with them to hit accurately. I went with a mid-grade plasma on them, kind of right in the middle, not the high end, not the low end. But I found that they're powerful enough and they fire quick enough that you can really melt an enemy robot that's right up on you. And then I added on 3 of the nano menders and put them on top. So it's a great way to kind of support other ground vehicles. A little weaker than the Golem Sentinel 7 against air units, of course, but probably a little stronger 101 against other tanky mechs and stuff like that, as you can kind of annihilate them with plasma and then finish them off with the real strong lasers. So it is kind of a change up. If you just have to buy one mech, I'd say probably try the Golem Sentinel 7 over this one, as that ion distorter could probably end this robot if they were one-on-one. Though it'd be kind of a toss-up. It's whoever sees the other guy first. But it is a little bit better against air with that nice flak on top of it, and uses mega legs. This particular one just uses the regular legs. Now, you'll notice on it, though, there's a lot of electroplating, and that's one of the reasons why I like this robot, is the mini electroplates right now are a pretty good investment for the CPU put into them. They have high shield, and they have pretty high hit points, and they're only like 22 or 24 CPU per plate for the lowest 2 levels of the plates, or the smallest plates, I should say. They're not really levels anymore. But I liked using them, and they toughen up the front and back of the robot really well. So you can take plasma, you can take more shots. So it's kind of an experiment between making a real tanky mech with electroplates and making it a little bit more ground oriented. So all in all, I like it. It is something you can try out on the shop, and I posted it under the Wraulin account name. You can also look up Orc Striker and find it that way. But it is a lot of fun, and if you have all the parts for it already, it costs you nothing now to try out robots, so why not do it if you have the open space? And in fact, that's a very good reason to not have a whole multitude of robots on your account like I do. There's a good reason now to have under 25 bots and have a couple open slots at all times, and erase robots you're not using anymore, as you can pretty much try out anybody's robot now without having to pay anything as long as you have the parts for it. So that's kind of the good part of the economy. The bad part is it just takes forever to get those parts, you know, literally forever if you don't get a lot of legendary drops and recycle them to buy the stuff you really need. So anyway, I hope that they fine-tune some of this. I know there's been lots of kind of negative feedback on the forums, and I do get where those people are coming from, but I also get why the developers have changed the game this way. You know, they want to make money, and the loot crate drops and being able to buy them is a good way to make money and keeps people entertained and exciting. And like I said, I don't mind having the crates at all. I just don't want that to be the only sort of economy that there is in this game, aside from people buying your robots on the shop, or, you know, you recycling the stuff you get from the crates. And I know that there's probably going to be some changes coming up in the future just based on that feedback. And I know that today that Free Jam are kind of meeting and talking about some of the constructive feedback and talking about what they should do about it. They did say they had like 22,000 people sign up for Robocraft after it was promoted on the Steam forums, and I guess they just advertise it in general on Steam, so we'll see if those people stick. I'm just thinking that, you know, if the game gets too frustrating and people can't build what they want to, because they're not getting the drops and stuff like that. It could make people change before they really have the opportunity to invest a lot of money into the game. So, but I know Free Jam's probably done the research, and this is kind of what made the most sense for them. I just hope that they kind of fine-tune things to make it a little bit more friendly for veteran players as well as new players too. So anyway, that is the Orc Striker. Another robot I put together, which I was very, very happy with on the alt account Cyborbot, was the Bounty Enforcer 1. Now, it's not a level 1750 robot, like many of you have probably got accustomed to me making top-level robots. I don't really feel the need anymore to have to focus just on top-level robots, as leveling, like I said, is not really as important. So we just kind of go for the ultimate functionality of a robot being more important than the CPU used. As survivability is actually scaled too, along with everything else in the game. So the Bounty Enforcer was a 1245 CPU robot, but it's fantastic. And I had played a couple matches after playing the Protonium Harvester for a couple matches. Of course, I did kind of low to average in the games of the Protonium Harvester, but with the Bounty Enforcer, after playing the Protonium Harvester, I just absolutely mopped up the entire battlefield, because I think I was inappropriately matched with other players in that game, and they were a little bit too new for the playstyle I was trying to bring out with the Bounty Enforcer. So definitely something to check out there. So anyway, those are my 3 new robots: the Golem Sentinel 7, the Orc Striker, and the Bounty Enforcer 1. You can find all those on the CRF. Of course, the Orc Striker is going to be on the Cyborbot account, and the other 2 will be on the Wraulin account. So you can check that out if you're interested in trying them out for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I know I've been talking to you for over 20 minutes now just on Robocraft. Please like this video if you would. I'd appreciate that. And if you're new to my channel, join us. I have lots of great content here on Robocraft and other games, and try to put out videos that are informative and quality every time I do so. So I'd appreciate a comment down below if you would like to add to the discussion, or just give your general feedback and thoughts and ideas on some of the things I've covered in this. And I hope to see you guys real soon for some more Robocraft, Crossout, and the other games that I choose to cover here. I did put up a new banner on my channel last week, and there is a clue to a future game I'll be playing somewhere in that banner. So you can check that out. It's kind of right in the middle of everything. A little clue for you there. And I hope to see you all in some more games of Robocraft. I do think that there'll be some things we'll like coming down the pipes soon for Robocraft, so don't try to get too discouraged, and maybe do like I did, take a breath, play a few games of Robocraft, and see if it's really as bad as people make it out to be on the forums, or if you can find some positives and things that you like in the game as well, like I have. So anyway, guys, thanks so much, and I'll see you real soon here on Gamer Guide channel. Later.